Rosewood's nice. That whole area up there, going down the West Cliff and stuff, it's pretty area, beautiful area. We used to go over every year in the summer, play softball, play pick or whatever. Yeah. And it was fun, they had like a big stone.
Right. 6 o'clock. Stand for I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Just a reminder to silence your cell phones, please. We'll start with roll call.
Mayor Sherman?
Yes, here.
Councilor Burrell? Here. Councilor Klinkhammer?
Here.
Councilor Lundstrom?
Here.
Councilor Stradlin?
Here.
Councilor Tyree? Councilor White?
Here.
All right. Number 3, we have the approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any additions or corrections on the agenda? I don't think we have any. We look for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the regular meeting April 24th of 2023.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Councilor Stradlin?
Yes.
Councilor White?
Yes.
Councilor Klinkhammer?
Yes.
Councilor Burrell?
Yes.
Councilor Lundstrom?
Yes.
Mayor Sherman?
Yes. Motion passes. We've all had a chance to look through the minutes from our last meeting. Do we have any corrections or revisions? I don't see any. I would look for a motion to approve those.
I make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of April 10th, 2023.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Councilor White?
Yes.
Councilor Burrell?
Yes.
Councilor Stradlin?
Yes.
Councilor Lundstrom?
Yes.
Councilor Klinkhammer?
Yes.
Mayor Sherman?
Yes. Motion passes. All right, visitors and delegations. Has somebody here for Little Rescue on the Prairie? We've got Lisa.
She's not here yet, but I will
Uh-oh.
speak first if you guys don't
Okay.
mind. She's on her way.
Okay.
Good evening, Brush Council. Thank you for taking the time to hear from me. If you don't know who I am, I'm Lisa Lebsock. I'm the CEO and ACO with the Brush Police Department. I've been here almost 10 years. I love what I do and I'm very passionate about animals. In 2017, I came to the council and asked for help with cats. This little town was infested and I needed help to lower our population. I called Friends of Feral and they did help for almost 2 years. They said they wanted more money and they were removing cats and bringing them back. I explained at the time I could not assist them with the return part as I started picking up 2 or 3 cats a week that had been hit by vehicles or were extremely sick. I also noticed that Friends of Feral would pick up 10 cats and bring back 15. I still use DDFL, Denver Dumb Friends League, and Little Rescue on the Prairie in Log Lane. I would like to introduce Danielle when she gets here. She has been helping with our cat issue for almost 2 years. I have donated funds and helped her with a $150 cost of cat food for her rescue out of my own pocket. I have donated, last month I donated $100 to pay her vet bill out of my own pocket and went to Murdoch's to buy vaccines to help with her cats. I love what she does and what she stands for and for the safety of these cats. I have helped get cats adopted from her and can go and check on the cats at any time. I would like to see the city help her fund-wise so that we will always have a secure placement for these animals. There will always be cats in the city, community, or town. If it is controlled in a safe manner, the town will thrive. In numbers of cats are controlled, there will never be an issue. If the city helps pay for some of the cost to care for these cats, it will help her tremendously. In the last 9 years that I've been here, I've picked up 868 cats in 9 years. So far this year, I've picked up 25, and all of them have gone to Little Rescue on the Prairie. It's a lot of cats. Danielle, out of her own pocket, takes these cats to Solutions, which is in Denver. It is a branch of DFL, Denver Dumb Friends League. She gets them spayed or neutered and vaccinated, brings them back and gets them adopted out. If they are feral, she has several places that will take feral cats, so that's not an issue. But she has, in the last 2 years, she has helped us out tremendously. I have 4 dogs at the shelter right now I've been trying to place for over 3 weeks. Everybody is full. So I'd like to see the city help her. She's not asking for a whole lot, just financially some help. It is her own gas money, her own pay. I believe Solutions charges her $25 to $30 to spay or neuter. And then it is her time up there, which takes almost a whole day. And she gets no help whatsoever. She does it on her own. She will be here. She has made a spreadsheet for you guys to look at, if you would like to look at that. You're also welcome to have my sheet. I have all 9 years of how many animals I've picked up.
Lisa, just a quick question for you. So you don't have the facilities for cats at the brush pen, correct?
No, ma'am, I have 5 cat runs, 5 kennels
Okay.
to house cats. Our policy is we hold for 5 days for an owner claim. This gentleman just brought me one last week. If I can't find an owner, the city either euthanizes it, which I have not done in 7 years, unless it's sick or injured, or I can transfer it, and I have transferred everything.
And so also the Humane Society in Fort Morgan, they are kind of hit or miss on their capacity to help, because aren't they usually full?
They will not take from brush.
Okay.
They will not take anything from us.
And that's just because they're overwhelmed with Fort Morgan, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay.
I take anything from brush in the city limits. The county, the sheriff's department does not pick up cats. They will not pick up county cats. I also have had a couple elder folks that have passed away that have had cats, and so therefore I have to transfer them to Danielle to find homes. And she's always taken them. She's never turned me down. Last week I gave her a mom that just gave birth and had 6 kittens. I do not have the facility or the manpower to care for them. If I would not have caught the mom, and thank goodness I did, bottle feeding every 2 hours, 6 kittens would just literally wear somebody out. And that's literally what it would take to get them to survive. I have bottle fed kittens. Out of 6, I've had 2 live, and I've done everything I can. So she has volunteers that work for her. Sometimes there are people with public service time, and they come and volunteer for her. She is there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I don't have that. I do not.
I do believe she came in and did a presentation.
She did in February. You are correct.
Yeah.
I was sick that day. I could not make it, and she did come in and do a talk to you guys.
Is there a recommended dollar figure for a donation?
She wrote out a spreadsheet, and I apologize. She is late. She did write out a spreadsheet to present to you guys, and I'm hoping that she can still do that. Even if she's a little late, she can at least get you a copy of it. You guys can look at it later.
Yeah.
But we do, like I said, we do need to help her. Normally, I've transferred to Denver Dumb Friends League, dogs and cats. Denver Dumb Friends League gets donations. They just got a huge donation from the Betty White Foundation, but yet they are still full. So there's, I can't go up there, so I have to find someplace local to go. And Danielle is wonderful. She absolutely loves them. And it eases my mind knowing that we're not just picking them up and euthanizing them, because that's what would happen. And it breaks my heart. I have 2, and I love them. They are my life. They're my children, and I love them. And the community loves them too. They've helped. I've had lots of people offer to help. I try to get, cat food from her. She also does the pet pantry, which means she goes to Denver, brings back bags of food and distributes them throughout Morgan County. It's not just Fort Morgan, it's Brush also.
So are you still using you're not using the ones that would take 10 and bring back 15?
Friends of Farrell, no ma'am.
Have you
They were out of
noticed-
Fort Collins. They helped for 2 years and the city council did pay them. But then, like I said, it got to they wanted more money, and I understand prices increase, but yet they were bringing back more than they were picking up. And, for the county, that's wonderful. If the cats are on a farm, perfect. But when they're in a city limits, and I pick them up on Colorado because they've been hit, it breaks my heart. So I said, no, you cannot bring them back.
Yeah.
Danielle never brings anything back. I have had several people here that have gone to Danielle and adopted the cats that I've took to her, but only 2 or 3 weeks after she's had them. I can't house them for that long. I don't have the room.
Have you seen an improvement then since you stopped using them?
I have. My numbers have not gone up. That's a great sign. My number for this year is 25 so far, and we're in the 4th month, which is really good. My number for 2022 was 118 cats. In 2021, it was 117. In 2020, it was 87. So it's still there, but I'd like to see it go down a little bit more. There are some more feral cats in this town. I am pushing to get picked up, just to save them. A few cats to keep the mice down. We do have open lots. I get it, but not 800 and some cats. That's too many. A cat that is being fed at a certain spot, you've provided it a house and food. It is comfortable. It will not leave. It will stay there. And that if it's feral, it's not getting vaccinated. It's not getting vet care if it needs it. And that's what I want to stop. I want to pick them up. I want to get them the care that they deserve. And Danielle has taken some feral cats that I thought would never be friendly. She's called me in a month and said, come see this cat. And I was floored. I was like, there's no way. This cat hated me, hated everybody, and now I can pet it. So she does do wonders.
Very good. Yeah, we'll take a look at, we'll take her spreadsheet when she comes in and take a look at it. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. I'll give this to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have citizen comments. Citizens are invited to speak to council on any item that is not, hold on, does not have a public hearing scheduled. There's a 5-minute time limit. Do we have anybody here for public comment? No? Okay. Just for anybody watching, this is the only time that you get to speak to council, so.
I would say, all I can say is that Lisa's been very good. I call her and she comes and brings me a traffic. And when the cat's there, she picks them up. She's about the 3rd cat.
Very good.
So, doing a good job.
She is. All right. So we'll move on to management items. First, we have a proclamation, number 23-2. I think we have Councilor Lindstrom on this one.
Proclamation affirming April 28th Arbor Day in Rush, Colorado. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a new renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase popular property values, enhance the economic vitality of the business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees are a source of joy and spiritual renew, and whereas Brush has been recognized as a Tree City USA by National Arbor Day Foundation and desires to continue its tree planting ways. Therefore, on behalf of the Brush City Council, I'm not Dana Sherman, that's part you read.
I, Dana Sherman, as mayor, do hereby proclaim April 28, 2023 as Arbor Day in the city of Brush, and I urge all citizens to support the efforts to care for our city's community forestry program. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations. Approved and adopted this 24th day of April. Very good. So I would look for a motion to pass that proclamation.
I move we pass proclamation number 2023-2.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll say I did the Arbor Day ceremony at the golf course with the tree board and city staff, and listened to the third graders and their little poems they memorized. It was pretty impressive. And it was freezing cold. But it's always a good ceremony. So, all right, roll call vote.
Counselor Grow?
Yes.
Counselor Klinghammer?
Yes.
Counselor Spratt?
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom?
Yes.
Counselor White?
Yes.
Mayor Sherman?
Yes, that motion passes. Next, we have proclamation number 23-3. I have Councilor Spradlin reading this one.
Proclamation number 2023-3 in recognition of International Firefighters Day, to designate the date of May 4th, 2023 as International Firefighters Day. Whereas firefighters dedicate countless hours, selfless time away from their families and take ultimate risks to serve their communities. And whereas firefighters in our community volunteer their time and leave their families, jobs, and personal lives to answer the call. And whereas the role of a firefighter is to respond to emergencies involving life, property, or environment, and to fight together against an enemy that can quickly destroy lives. And whereas the men and women of the fire service industry are a special group of individuals that exude extraordinary commitment and exceptional courage to tirelessly serve and protect others. And whereas International Firefighters Day was created in 1999 after 5 firefighters tragically died during a wildfire in Australia when the direction of the wind changed suddenly and engulfed them in flames. It is celebrated on May 4th because that is St. Florian's Day, and St. Florian was the first commanding firefighter of an actual Roman battalion, saving many lives, and is considered the patron saint of firefighters. And whereas International Firefighters Day is a time when the world's community can recognize and honor the sacrifices that firefighters make to ensure their communities are safe as possible, and remember those that have given the ultimate sacrifice of their lives to protect the safety of others. Whereas we show our support and appreciation to the firefighters and their families in our community. Do you read the rest of that, Dana?
Nope, you can.
Therefore, be it resolved that the Brush City Council formally declares May 4th, 2023 as International Firefighters Day in the city of Brush, Colorado.
Very good. I would look for a motion to pass that proclamation.
I make a motion to approve proclamation number 2023-3, sorry.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor Tyree?
Yes.
Counselor White?
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Garrell?
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom?
Yes.
Counselor Klinkhammer?
Yes.
Mayor Sherman?
Yes. All right, next we have proclamation number 2023-4. I have Councilor Klinkhammer reading this one.
In recognition of National Public Safety Telecommunication Week, to designate the week of April 9th through April 15, 2023 as National Public Safety Telecommunication Week.
I give you the tough one.
Yeah, I need my glasses for this one. Whereas the Morgan County Communications Center plays a vital role in the protection of human life and property in our community, and whereas the Morgan County Communications Center has been successfully serving the public safety communication needs of Morgan County through efficiently coordinating emergency services to ensure the health and safety of the public in our community, and whereas while enduring long hours, abnormal schedules, and handling frequent life and death emergencies, Morgan County's public safety telecommunicators set high standards in performing their duties in a dedicated, diligent, and compassionate manner, and whereas public safety telecommunicators provide a critical communication link between the public and police, fire, and EMS providers, and whereas our community's public safety communication personnel serve the public daily in countless ways without due recognition by the beneficiaries of their services, and whereas we recognize and commend the dedicated service provided by the public safety telecommunicators in our community and across the nation. Therefore, be it resolved that the Brush City Council formally declares April 9th through April 15th, 2023 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the city of Brush, Colorado.
I would look for a motion to pass that proclamation.
I move we approve proclamation number 2023-4 in recognition of National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor Klinkhammer.
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin.
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Counselor Guerrero.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Tyree.
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. Next we have resolution number 2023-7. We have Tyler on this one.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. So this resolution tonight, if you remember at our last meeting, I spoke about North Point looking to close the property and get moving on that 45-unit apartment complex off of Mill Street. And so they're approaching the deadline. Their plan is to close this Friday. And so last week, Dale and I had met with them because they have an investment company that wanted to ensure everything is lining up properly before they sign things on their side and commit to the project. And so with that, there was a couple items that needed tweaking. I mentioned last time the possibility of us having a special meeting. We ended up not having to do that, but these things were things that we do need attention on. So the first one here is simply a revision from the original agreement, resolution 2022-6, where it spoke about the beginning date and the ending date on that. So at the time, the project had a timeline that they anticipated and things got delayed, not a surprise there. And so in that original one, it said that they were supposed to start by January of this year, which of course is passed, and then complete by January of next year. And so we're just asking for a revision of that, which would change it to July 1st of this year, and then finishing the project by December 31st of next year. And so this is a resolution that simply approves that change.
Thank you, Tyler. So we just need a motion to approve this resolution by title.
I move we approve resolution number 2023-7, a resolution extending certain time restraints for construction of improvements in lieu of land dedication for North Point project.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Tyree.
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin.
Yes.
Counselor Klinkhammer.
Yes.
Counselor Guerrero.
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. That motion passes. All right, we have resolution number 2023-8. Still
All right,
Tyler.
thank you again. This one is also tied to the North Point project. A few months ago, we had brought a resolution to council approving a vacation of an existing easement because of a relocation for a sewer line. So all that was squared away with engineering, but as we approached the finish line, it was determined it would actually be better and cost savings instead of going down and over, is just go from point A to point B. Because the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And so we did that, and so this is essentially revising that, vacating the previous easement, and then approving the new easement, which is located here. And this is the vacation of the other one. So this is a formal land use, and so this is an agreement between us and the current property owner. So once, if council approves it, once the mayor signs it, we'll have the current property owner sign it. This will be recorded with the county as well.
Thank you, Tyler. So I would look for a motion on this resolution by title.
I move that we approve resolution number 2023-8, a resolution approving an easement revision and agreement for North Point project.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor Spradlin.
Yes.
Counselor Tyree?
Yes.
Counselor White?
Yes.
Counselor Grow?
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom?
Yes.
Counselor Klinkhammer?
Yes.
Mayor Sherman?
Yes. All right, next we have the letters of opposition to Senate Bill 23-291. I think, was Dan going to talk about this one?
I,
Did you?
Or Tyler might be able
Or
to talk
Tyler?
about
Yeah, I was about to say that. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah, I didn't know.
we've had enough of you.
Yeah, no kidding. Apparently. So,
Go ahead, Tyler, sorry.
obviously, at the last meeting, we had opposing a bill measure as well, and so the state legislation only meets a certain time frame. This year is January 9th to May 6th, and so it's a window that they try to get as much done as they possibly can. And so with that, this past week, as they're getting close to the end of the timeline here, is a bill was introduced, Senate Bill 291, that spoke specifically to the Public Utilities Commission regulation of energy utilities. And so I won't dive too much into this, just give you a real quick overview. So I got a call from Kristen with MCEDC, who had got a call from Xcel Energy the day after that this was brought up, which was the 19th. In the evening, it was introduced on the Senate floor, and they expressed extreme concern with that and immediately put out a response to all the communities that they represent in the state, asking them to oppose this. And so they had drafted 2 letters on that. One was directly opposing the bill itself, and then the second was just a more general letter speaking to, hey, legislators, big bills like this, you really need to slow down and talk it through with the utility providers. And so we were trying to understand the bill. So Monty, the mayor, and I met the following day to touch base and kind of go over the nuances of that bill, which I'll go over real briefly right now. Essentially, it, as I said before, it has to do with regulating the utility providers themselves and having different types of mechanisms and plans in place to ensure that they're not taking advantage of customers, is the way that it's framed. We thought it might be in response to the very high gas bills that were experienced over this past year and bonuses that executives had, executive board members had received, or not board members, executives within the organization had received while people were having to pay out of their pockets like crazy. And so with that, they wanted to ensure that utility rate settings and cost recovery allowances have proper parameters in place, which seems to be pretty good. But the second half of the bill, they tacked in a lot that has to do with natural gas being provided and tightening that up a lot, and really moving toward electric only. And so by doing that, the bill essentially says that for gas infrastructure, that if a utility company like Xcel Energy, and all these specifically, by the way, are for those utility providers that are over 500,000, have over 500,000 customers. And so Xcel, of course, does have a huge footprint in the state, as do other providers. But essentially, the gas infrastructure, they would have to provide different measures of justification to put a gas line in to serve whether an industrial user or a subdivision. And the residential costs would be a factor involved with that, and they wouldn't be allowed to offer any incentives for gas services either. So it'd be solely on the developer, and then part of it is basically that those who opt out of that within the area that they're serving would not have to have any kind of fee associated with that. They can just say, we don't want it, and so Xcel's costs go up all the more, the property then goes up all the more, because it's the same cost to put it in whether one person wants it or 100 people wants it, one or either way. So overall, it seemed to be just bad legislation. Puts a lot of concerns out there. And so in your packet, there's 2 letters. The first one was the first one that I mentioned that we directly oppose this. It's addressed to the Senate Finance Committee. We actually opted not to go that route. But the second letter is the one that we're asking council if you want us to go ahead and sign that and send that in on behalf of the City of Brush, which essentially, like I said, says you should slow down as you are talking about bills like this. And it makes mention of this bill, but it's an overall concern because the time frame to get this done, as I mentioned, they're trying to get as much possible, but this has huge implications to it. I don't know if you're familiar with the state process itself. It has all the necessary checks and balances to make sure people aren't just arbitrarily putting stuff in place. So the 19th it was introduced, the 20th it was approved by the Senate Finance Committee, 21st it was approved by the Senate Appropriations Committee because there's financial impacts to it, and then tomorrow morning it goes to the Senate floor for the second reading. If they approve it, the following day, it'll probably go to the third, and then it'll go to the House after that and go through the same process. So it's boom, 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 boom. But there's a lot of implications to it for everybody really, but specifically us here in Brush. So that was a mouthful that I talked through really quick, but if you have any questions, I'll try to answer that.
So have you guys had a chance to see the two letters?
Yeah.
And they're recommending the second one. Our staff is recommending the second one. So I would look for a motion to approve that if you agree on which letter.
I'll make a motion to approve the letter of opposition to SB 23-291.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Garrell.
Yes.
Counselor Klinkhammer.
Yes.
Counselor Tyree.
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin.
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. Thank you, Tyler.
And just a reminder that these aren't a year-round thing, it's just this season right now that these would ever come up before council. So it's not like we're going to come back every week with the rest of the year asking you to oppose it. And stuff like that. Although we could. Thank you.
All right. Next we have the Brush Volunteer Fire Department ladder truck bid award. This one's not you, Tyler?
No.
That'd be Joanne and I.
Okay.
So after a few different discussions with the fire department and a few presentations and discussions with the city council, we did have our final meeting about a week ago. And essentially, it's all listed in the memo, but just to paraphrase it, it's about $1.8 million for the aerial ladder truck. And at first, we were thinking that because it's such a high cost, that we would go with the lease purchase option. However, after we went through the 5-year capital plan of the fire department to see what else they were going to purchase, we looked at a few different options on the lease purchase option. But then we were sitting there and we said, you know what? One of the things that wasn't discussed a lot is that it's almost 3 years out before you get the truck and have to make your second payment. So we actually can make a down payment, about 50% of that, and then we would get a $75,000 reduction in price. And then we usually gain about $350,000 per year, each year in revenues. And we can actually, by the time we get to the third year and it's time to pay the second half, we can go ahead and just pay that in cash. So we wouldn't have to do the lease purchase option unless other unknown costs came up in the 5-year capital plan for the fire department, but they were reasonably sure that there weren't going to be any surprises of any larger dollar figures. So we're recommending to go with that option of doing the 50% down and paying the other 50% when the aerial fire truck is complete. And as long as revenues stay strong, we shouldn't have a problem just cutting that check at that time. If something does come up, we always have an option of lease purchasing then, but we think that's the best route to go for the new aerial ladder truck.
And we're locked in at that price, even though it's going to be 3 years later before we get it.
Yep.
Good. All right. Do you have any questions? For a motion on that one?
I move that we move forward with the fire department ladder truck as described by staff.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote?
Counselor Garrell.
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin.
Yes.
Counselor Tyree.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Klinkhammer.
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. All right, that motion passes. Next, we have finance.
I move we approve disbursements and payroll for April 11th, 2023 through April 24th, 2023, totaling $732,486.26.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor Klinkhammer.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Tyree.
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin.
Yes.
Counselor Garrell.
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. All right, we'll move on to staff reports. We'll start with Tyler Purvis, Assistant Administrator.
All right, just a couple items here. The first one, our Brush stakeholders group met once again today as we do monthly. The only thing that I want to mention about our discussion today has to do with summer childcare. We're always looking to address the childcare needs that we have in our community. And so the school district has partnered with Kids at Their Best, and Morgan County Economic Development has been a part of those conversations at all, where they're working with the school district to have a full 8 to 5 summer daycare, Monday through Friday throughout the summer. And so there's some final details getting worked out. They're hoping by May 15th that whole thing will be brought together and put out. And so as part of that, the city had set aside $30,000 to put toward that program. We talked about some different ideas today. The overall cost right now seems to be pretty high. I won't mention it just yet, and so it could be an opportunity for us to utilize some of those funds to help underwrite some of those costs, so it's a little more attainable for a lot of residents throughout the summer, maybe even next summer and the year after, on how we spend those funds. Bless you. And so they're just kind of bringing that here for your awareness and also for the community's awareness, because that's always a concern for parents. What are my kids going to do throughout the summer? I'd like them to be actively engaged in something that's going to provoke their thinking and not be stuck behind a screen all day and that kind of thing. So this is going to provide a good opportunity for that, with plenty of different activities in the community for them to be a part of. So more to come on that, but it's looking like it's coming together pretty well, and definitely is requiring good community partnership across the board, which is always positive to see. Any questions on that? Okay.
Just whenever we get there, Tyler, maybe have Kids at Their Best, the director, come in and maybe do a presentation so we understand how it's all going to unfold from there.
Yep, good plan. In your packets tonight also, or not your packets, I'm sorry, put in your, whatever was set before you. Anyway, so there's an event coming up on May 10th over in Fort Morgan. The Economic Development Council of Colorado, they are doing a regional event. This is the first regional event they've done since COVID, so since 2019. And they're doing it in Fort Morgan. And so it's kind of geared toward eastern and northeastern Colorado, but they'll have people from throughout the state there. Great opportunity for people in the community to be engaged on a broader discussion with the biggest challenges when it comes to economic development that the region is facing. So this was put together based on feedback from the region overall, surveys that went out to different representatives in economic development, in local government, in chambers of commerce and other similar areas, in industries themselves. And so they're putting panels together with people talking about solutions to address some of these different challenges. And so we invite council, we invite business leaders or anybody interested to attend that. We are a member of the organization, so we do get the discounted rate as well. So if you're interested in going that, just you can work through our city clerk or Melissa, whoever they're coordinating with that, and they can get you squared away. But we definitely encourage people to come and support that, especially it being somewhat in our backyard over in Fort Morgan at the Block. And then the last thing I have is simply kind of piggyback with the 151st Arbor Day celebration that we had last week. So thank you, Bruce, and the other tree board members for that. It was a good time. As the mayor said, it was very cold. 5 classrooms came out. But as part of that, it's our overall Tree City program that we do. And we have the free tree program and the 50/50 program that we've been working on. And so this week, those are going to be delivered and planted in most of the homes. We have a total of 27 trees going in around town, which includes over at the golf course as well as residents' front yards and backyards. So I'm excited for that. Of course, trees are going to get old and branches are going to fall down, but it's good to have new trees going in because trees are beautiful, and as it was read in the proclamation, have a lot of benefits to them. So it's a great program that we have. It's great to see the community participate in that. And that's all that I have, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Tyler. Brandon Fox-Steiner, Chief of Police.
So we officially have both of our cadets lined up. We're getting 2 positions in the upcoming academy that starts on July 10th. One of which is actually starting a little bit earlier. We lost our second CSO position, so luckily enough, we happen to have one of our cadets that wanted to start a little earlier, so she's actually going to be riding around with Lisa, kind of learn geography, learn some of our codes to kind of get a jump on things, which I think is very beneficial. A pretty positive experience for us.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Lance Schwint, Director of Community Services.
All right, just a little bit off Tyler said, this Thursday, the school district has their Give Back Day, so they'll be in all of our parks and cemetery and all around town doing various jobs. So we are looking forward to working with the kids and hopefully we get good weather. It's been rained out more than we've had them, but I think Thursday's going to cooperate and stuff. So we have a lot of different projects we're going to be doing. This Saturday, something that I don't know if it's been advertised as much, but we are having our Trillion Trees celebration on at Prairie Trails Park. That's where we plant 7 trees for 7 former service members that are from the Brush area. And this year, this one, we actually have Dan Scalisi going to be honored at it. He's one of the 7 who was a former mayor and member too. So that should be a good event. That starts at 12:30. And I just thought I already only bought one flyer, but I was hoping that you guys could just pass it around and take note of it if anybody around. It'd be something good. Good to see. It's kind of it's a good program. Plus, it puts trees in our parks. Our swimming pool slide, we were kind of at a crossroads with it, and we were talking about whether we needed to replace it or just get it refurbished. It is actually getting refurbished right now and should be done this week, and hopefully by May 29th when we open the pool, everything will be good to go. Our community trip, we scheduled another one for this year. It's to Niagara Falls. We advertised it for 2 days and it filled up. So we have 48 people going to Niagara Falls, and we already have 6 people on the waiting list for that. So should be a great trip in mid-September. And so if you're still interested, you can still get on the waiting list, and a lot of things happen between now and then, but that's where we're at. Comedy night this past Saturday, I'll let Larry talk about that in council reports, but it was another success. Thank you, Larry, for all you do with that. It was great. Then as far as the golf course goes, we are starting to do Nine and Dine starting in May, and we will do that every other week in May and June and July, and it's basically a couples night on Friday nights. And you go out, you play 9 holes, and then there will be some sort of special dinner and a little bit of entertainment and stuff. So 9 and Dine at the golf course, May, June, and July at the golf course. And then May 26th, June 23rd, and July 28th, those will be 3 dates that we actually have some acoustic guitar players and singers that will be performing on the deck in the evening on Friday nights to just kind of a great backdrop and everything else. So we think that's going to go over well, but that's something that we're going to try different this year than we had in the past. On May 13th, we are having our 2nd annual Wayne Carlson Classic Disc Golf Tournament, and it's already full. We have over 92 people participating in our disc golf tournament. So we're looking forward to that the day before, of course, graduation and Mother's Day, but so it'll be a busy weekend. And just one note, anybody out there that needs to still sign up for swimming lessons, our lessons are filling up rather quickly. So if you do need to sign up, make sure you call the rec department or hop online and get registered, because they are registering pretty fast. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you, Lance.
All right, thanks.
Joanne Goslink, Finance Director.
Just have a couple quick items this evening. Last week, during one of Tyler's presentations about Westwood and the North Point, one of the counselors had asked about the approximate property tax off of like Westwood. So I went back and got some basic information from Tyler, and sounds like they're valued at approximately $300,000, and there's 246 units. So the property tax for the city of Brush only, the revenue off that would be roughly $80,000, just to give you an idea. And then North Point is a tax exempt organization, so we will not get any property tax off that one. Okay? The other thing you might have noticed in your packet this evening is that at the very end was a financial status report. That's something that you'll start getting monthly at the second council meeting of the month. And if anybody wants to go over it or have me go over it with them, just give me a holler and I'll be glad to meet with you.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for doing that, Joanne. Melissa White, Deputy City Clerk.
I don't have anything to report.
Okay. Dan Crow.
Thanks, Mayor.
Yes, Attorney.
I'm just looking at the Allo franchise agreement. Also, Joanne brought to my attention House Bill 21-1110 deals with providing access to information technology. There's some requirements coming up next July, so we've got a little bit of time, but we'll get going on that. So thanks for bringing that up, Joanne. And this is just something to think about. It's come to my attention that notices for these council meetings are done right now. They're required to be posted at City Hall and electronically. There's some legislation that allows you to just notice electronically. So it's something that I wanted to have you guys consider. If you guys are comfortable doing it the way you're currently doing it, that's fine, but sometimes, you know, with people filling in for each other, and it's easy to drop the ball, so or miscommunicate or whatever might happen, so just something to think about.
Anything else?
Sounds good.
Okay.
And I hope that doesn't come across bad. There's a lot going on, and when you're being trained, that's absolutely nothing against anyone here.
Very good. Yeah, I think people get used to saying it out there.
Yeah. I was just thinking.
This lowers our liability, basically. Is that what you're saying?
Well, so I don't think anything we've done tonight is controversial or would be in any way negatively affected. I think in the future, if you just had electronic notification, you could still post it there. But if it's not posted there because, you know, someone's sick or whatever, then it's not going to allow any liability.
So what you're saying is change the ordinance to where we just post electronically, but we can still post it manually. We just lose the liability if it doesn't get posted manually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something to think about. All right. Thank you, Dan. Monty Torres.
All right, a few things this evening. The first one is the water shares that we discussed purchasing a few weeks ago. That's been completed now. Those were closed on, so those are in our water portfolio, as we had discussed in our last time we met in regards to it. Also, you'll see a lot of road work going on around the community. A lot of the road work right now, what they're trying to do is just patch spots where they can until we get the crews in later this summer to do additional crack filling, slurry sealing, and more repairs. So that's all coming down the line. We were going to try and get in some crack fill crews to help our crews out because there's so much of it. Because this winter, our small crew can't keep up. So they're trying to do the best they can, but we're looking to privatize a portion of that, which we've done in the past. The last time that we did that, we focused on the center of town, and those private crews did all the east and west streets. This time we want to do the north and south streets. But the problem is all of them are non-responsive because they're so busy everywhere else, and we're a smaller project for them. But Dell's going to continue to work on that, see if we can find some help there. Wednesday is the 100th anniversary of CML, and Brush is one of 11 founding communities for CML. Dana's going to be going to Boulder on Wednesday to represent the city of Brush there. I don't know all the details, and maybe you know more, but it's supposed to be kind of a big shindig. A lot of celebrating going on, so thanks for doing that. And then probably late morning tomorrow, early afternoon, I'll be heading off to the the Colorado City County Managers Association Conference in Glenwood. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. All right, before I move into mayor and council reports, Danielle has arrived. I'd like to give her a couple of minutes to do her presentation.
I'm so sorry, I thought it was at 6:30.
Sorry. So you were early then?
Yeah. Not so. I had brought some files for you before with the info, and I'm so sorry I didn't bring another packet, but I did bring just some quick
Numbers.
Numbers
are good.
Numbers.
Thank you.
That kind of gives you the breakdown. Fort Morgan Veterinary Clinic is our vet on record, and that's who we generally use, especially for most of our adoptable cats, but we are allotted some slots through a grant provided to us from Denver Metro Cats and DDFL, which is a combination of two organizations in Denver, and they assist us a lot. So up to 8 cats we get on that grant, and then the rest, it's only 25 for males or 50 for females, but that's strictly extremely feral, and then there's gas and all day long, but we're only allotted that 8, and then that's it. The rest we go to Fort Morgan, and it's about basically about $87 per cat, and we're just asking for a $50 surrender fee per cat. And we are currently working on grants and things, so then that would of course affect, and once we get more spay neuter grants to cover our costs, then we would of course not have to charge, which is what the goal is.
All right. Seems fair.
Questions?
I got one.
Yes.
Have you worked with brush vets before?
Cattlemen's?
Yeah.
They won't work with us. They work with Lisa right now,
Mhm.
but they don't want to do any other shelters. They don't want to take any more on. They just want to work with owned animals.
Oh, okay.
I have talked with them, Lisa and I, because we've been working together for years, and I take most of your cats. The only time I haven't, and then Lisa takes them to DDFLs if we are having like a pandemic outbreak or something. But we take most of your cats now. But we'd love to, but actually Cattlemen's charges us a lot more than for more at our clinic, so that's also another drawback from them.
So what would you estimate a monthly, about how many cats a month?
That we take from you, gosh, it's hard to say. I'd have to get with Lisa. I know it could
She
be
said
more.
there was 25 for the year so far.
Yeah,
That's
so
kind of
it's
the
just
average.
a few a month, and then, of course, if we're trapping, then it would be more, because, but that's, and you can put a cap on it if you wanted and say, well, we've only trap 10 or 20 cats a month, or 5 or whatever, and you can just let us know, and I'd be working with Lisa the whole time too, so it would all go through her, because she would let me know the areas that are in need and whatnot, so.
Cool.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
We'll talk about it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, Mayor and Council reports. Do any councilors have anything to share?
Yeah, we had the comedy show. For the first time, it filled up right away. I mean, it sold out right away, down to one show. It works out better this way. I don't know if it's a common knowledge, but counselors and, the managers and stuff can come out to this too and support it. I don't know if you guys do that or not. That's really a guilt trip right now. But we do have Joanne at the door to balance in case anybody starts in trouble. We're driving outside, they're not beaten, so it's safe. But it was a great turnout. I think we got a lot of the bugs banged out this year, so we're going to do 6 months in a row this coming year, so including the New Year's Eve show. Nice. And I mean, they did a good job on the bar and restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Funny was.
Really well,
Yeah. And those guys ran their butts off. So, all in all, a good thing.
Cool.
It's a good time too. Come check it out.
Awesome. I'm sorry I missed that
Oh,
one.
you did?
I haven't missed any yet.
First one. And you gotta come, so let's pick on the mayor. They always
I
ask
know.
who's the mayor,
They're
yeah.
just really gonna harass me.
Yeah.
I haven't been here the last couple meetings, but so I didn't get to really say anything about the fire training center, and I just wanted to say that thing is amazing.
Mhm.
There's way more to that than what I was envisioning, and I thought it was pretty cool. One question I had, Tyler might be able to answer this, or Bonnie. What is the purpose for making them catch the water?
Oh, let's see. Do you know the answer? I think I know the answer.
Well, Dale would be the perfect one to do it overall. So the water itself, as it comes off, everything on the property right now runs toward the pond to catch it. This would not be considered storm water itself, the additional water put onto it, and so CDPHE would not allow it to go into the existing pond that's there. And so what we're doing is that we're trapping it essentially, and then we're filtering it out in case any contaminants get in there through the sand filtration system, and then they're going to reuse that water back onto it.
Sounds right to me.
So how do you keep rainwater out of it?
We talked about just putting a valve there where everything that it catches, you just close the valve itself when it rains, when you're not using it. So it'll just sit there and either evaporate, or if it runs off, it's rainwater at that point.
And there's a filter system for it?
Yeah, just a sand filtration system that will be in place.
So, I guess my biggest question for this was, because it sounds like the concrete work that's gonna need to be done might be pretty substantial for this. Just in talking with Tad and some other people involved with it. So my question is, how is that any different than turning on our fire hydrants?
We had that conversation actually at our office, and I can't remember the details of it overall.
Because it sounds like maybe you guys are worried about some contaminants that might just be pallets and straw, from what I'm gathering, because they can't build much of a fire in those. They can't get the heat very hot in there on purpose because it can ruin the training center. So it sounds like we're throwing a lot of money at something that's a kind of a nothing burger. I mean, a house fire is going to put way more carcinogens in the water system than that training center will.
Sure, and it could just be simply that that's a true emergency, whereas this one is not.
It's a controlled environment.
Can I add just a little bit of insight here? So another thing too, I think there's a small educational piece that I think many people were missing when it comes to the burn and the amount of water that's being used in the training facility. About 50% of the water that is immediately being used is evaporated due to the amount of the heat that is in the training center when they are burning. The pictures, if you look at any of the pictures that were posted from the volunteer fire department that occurred during their train the trainer burn this last weekend, which was amazing because we need to have people who are trained to run that facility. So there were many that attended that. There was barely any water on the ground, like barely any water on the ground. In addition to that, I believe that they only used about a 500-gallon truck, I believe is what they used. We're thinking thousands of gallons, right? We're thinking tons of water. There was hardly any water on the ground. So I had the same concern coming out of it once I learned about this after hearing about how the training went, in that how much is the catch basin costing us if we're not having that much water going onto the ground?
Well, that was my biggest question, was if it's not enough water where it's ever going to end up in the holding pond anyway, it just sounds like a lot of cost to incur, really, that we don't need to do. And from what I've gathered, even the people that put it in have never heard of this. And the only place they've ever had to catch water was in California, according to one of the guys that was actually installing it. So that kind of raised questions in my head to like, well, they put these things in all over Colorado and they're not having to put catch systems in. So I guess I'm curious as to, maybe we need to dive into this a little more before we put even more money into it, because they've already put the tank in, I guess. And I was unaware of a filtration system, so in my mind, I'm like, okay, we're catching it, and then they're going to pump it out and just spray it on something anyway, so it's like, it doesn't make much sense to catch it.
Just recycle it. That would
Yeah, the recycling part of it. So the design, that all happened prior to my time here, so I don't know what all conversations were factored into the concrete being there.
Maybe
Let's
just
get
put a
some
bug in
from
Dale's
Cal.
ear. I'm just really curious where they're getting this, because like, I deal with a lot of gray water issues, even in my profession, and
Sure.
this is not something that we would ever have to catch when it comes to gray water. And like I said, I'd be curious to see the grading out there anyway. Just in my years here, not much water makes it to that catch pond, even back there. So it's not graded properly back there. I've been at the car wash a couple times, and it's just a puddle back there. So if we're going to do this, then we need to look at the grading to the catch pond anyway, the storm drainage pond, and then really dive into why we're having to catch this when we don't catch it for anything else that the fire department or the city does with fire hydrants into the storm drainage.
Okay, so maybe at the next meeting, either Dale can report on that, or we can have it on work session, one of those two.
Yeah, whichever's fine. And put a bug in Dale's there, because I don't want to just like blindside him with it like I just did you. So.
At least I was able to respond.
Yeah, actually, I like it. Thank you.
So just a little more clarity on the trainer. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that term. I wasn't until I was someone being trained as a trainer. But the trainer for the fire department is so that people are trained to run the fire facility and run the live fires for the people that need to come through and do the training. That was conducted this weekend, and there were quite a few people in attendance, including the chief, the assistant chief, a couple of lieutenants, and then including even a new recruit. So it was really nice to see so many people being involved in that and getting that training that they really needed. I do think that this is going to be massively beneficial. There's so much excitement and so much hype through the community about these you know, these training opportunities, because it is not just the fire departments that are going to gain from this either. I believe that there are some uses for other first responder type agencies to utilize it.
Yeah, Tad brought that up with the movable walls. I was like, that's amazing for the police department to be able to train, you know, clearing rooms and doing that kind of stuff. I just thought it was really cool. I had no idea it was going to have the spot that they could chop out of the roof. Like, I mean, we probably saw all this, but that's when we were all on computers. You know what I mean? So it was a lot harder to see a lot of this. And walking through it, I was blown away. I'm just envisioning connexes on the end with very little in them, you know, and I thought it was pretty impressive for what we paid for it.
I do think it's very aesthetic. I think it does really match the fire department itself. It looks good in town, it's drawing people's attention. I do encourage anyone who hasn't been able to get a tour, there's plenty of firefighters willing to give you a tour.
Yeah, very cool. That's all I had.
Very good. Anybody else? Alrighty. So next we have an executive session. I would look for a counselor to make the motion.
I move we go into executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute Title 24, Article 6, Section 402, at subsection 4F for personal matters. The matter to be discussed is compensation for the Brush Police Department.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor White?
Yes.
Counselor Tyree?
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Klinkhammer?
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom?
Yes.
Counselor Garrell?
Yes.
Mayor Sherman?
Yes. All right.
Nathan, how's your job going, man?
Good.
Good.
That's good. Where are you working at?
How bad was that?
Warren County Sheriff's Department. That's how I can answer that question.
Well, that was pretty quick. Now it makes sense.
Back to 5-0. Back to 5-0.
Yeah, trying to see the big
Semi and another car on.
My husband said
Well,
he
let's
was
take-
semis because he drove past it coming home.
I almost missed this because I crashed on 34.
Right? That's
Oh,
crazy.
there was one? I didn't know about it.
Driving a truck meet this morning, there was
Stop
two
the highway.
cars that were very wrecked out.
All right,
One was up on
so
the
we'll
hill.
have
Glad to have you around.
Dan make a
They're
statement.
both in Fort Warren, but the other one was.
I'll note for the record, at 7:20, we're just exiting an executive session. I was present throughout. The scope of the discussions was within the scope of the statute. As the city attorney, the attorney-client privilege attaches. Thanks, Mayor.
So I would look for a motion for direction coming out of executive session.
Oh, I always do it, don't I? I move for staff to move forward as directed in regard to the Brush Police Department.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor Tyree.
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Klinkhammer.
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Counselor Garrell.
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. It's been a while since you actually had to read all the names, huh? All right, and with that, I would look for a motion to adjourn the meeting and go into a work session.
Move adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll do a lead and join.
All right.